Okay, so we're gonna go into like ultimately the idea of where dance is going, both generally and for Jordan specifically. And there's a lot of ways to begin that. So we'll just start in kind of a random place, which is with Chad's question. Mad Chad's question on YouTube is, what do you guys feel about a dancer who chooses to purposely not show what they're feeling? And I want to preface this by saying that what I want to ultimately hone in on is the the possibilities, all of kind of the possibilities of this is so inarticulate, of where everything is going, and this is as good a place to start as any with options.
Um, I mean, if that's your artistic pursuit, I think it's fine, right? I mean, I would at least hope, right? Because dance doesn't need to be everything to everyone simultaneously. Um, and so if I don't know, maybe Chad's asking for a friend.
Sure, sure.
But like
Or a robot.
if
Yeah.
if whatever robot kind of gets that element of um, auditing their own authenticity in kind of day-to-day interactions or pressure-filled moments from something else, uh, that's totally fine. So I don't see any problems with like purposefully not showing what they're feeling. That's a whole other way to like kind of approach discipline.
Yeah, and it could be an honest expression of what we'll just say like the music makes you feel, or or the environment makes you feel. And
Or yeah,
and so I
it's like a different stoicism.
who's this?
That's my mom. What up,
Yeah, I
mom?
thought. So, I'm really the title of this when I upload this, I think could be like the Singularity style manifesto, and in connecting with Jordan when we did, one of the things that both of us really connected on was the concept of the singularity, which maybe he'll go into, maybe everybody already knows what that is, and how ultimately through, I would say, the internet and just the ability to just pick out what you like and also get a kind of technical foundation in whatever you like, what's going to end up happening is that people are just going to pick and choose their favorite things and combine them in a bunch of different ways.
Hmm.
And I think that this is like extremely healthy, and I've been
It's
wanting.
scary too.
You got going, yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of go.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
so obviously it's already happening, right?
And I want to say this is Jordan's concept. Singularity style is his name. He came up with it.
But it's not necessarily like the name or
Yeah, of
anything.
course.
And
Yet.
it's funny because it's not even necessarily that. I believe specifically in the singularity itself, like that we will literally converge into one. That's a far out thought, but like I think it's very obvious the convergence that we're seeing and the like organic mixing of things or inorganic, I don't know, mixing of things. Like a dancer like Deshaun, like Gold, doesn't exist 10 years ago, and he does like everything.
Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence, like, and you're just getting these like blends where it's like, like Clarence, like he's got a kind of hip hop vibe about him, but his bounce is super subtle and he's super animated, and like yeah, and he's like got this really chill vibe about him, and there's just like all these different elements coming from different places, but he's not putting them together arbitrarily, which is key. He's putting together in like really meaningful ways and dope ways and ways that we haven't really seen too much of before. It's possible people have been doing this before. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
But just the idea that these kind of dancers can pop up more and more with increased access to things is like super dope on an aesthetic level and like a personal level. My counterpoint is that maybe in the short term or midterm, I don't know exactly, it does kind of threaten like sort of cultural specificity, right? Like when you take certain moves have like very specific kind of cultural groundings, right? Cultural roots. And so if you take the move, but you put it outside of the cultural context, that totally changes what it is all about, right? And so I feel like, at least in the short term, until the world kind of organically sorts it out for itself, because culture is going to happen anyway in some way or another. But until the world kind of sorts it out, you're going to get a lot of kind of arbitrary placements of things that are aesthetically beautiful, but at the same time, when they're done outside of the original cultural context, they lose something. And so I don't know whether this is good or bad.
I'm gonna make like a
specifically.
super geeky analogy, which is that so many people I know that are technical consider like Mac OS 10.6.8 Snow Leopard the best Mac OS that was ever created. And ever since then, it's been downhill. But the counterpoint to that is that you can't stand still because nothing around you is standing still. So I find more and more people talking about, man, this new thing with my phone. I updated the app and it's worse.
Yeah, I hate
it's glitchy.
the new layout.
Everything. Why did they change that? But the reality is that that's the reality that we live in, and the downside, of course, is that it's completely unstable, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's worse. But the upside is that it's not standing still. Mm-hmm. There's a dynamism and a pushing. Like, I know for myself, when I session with you or anyone else at this point, every time I leave a session, I'm like, oh my God, I got to practice more, because the level seems to be very explicitly going up on an almost weekly or monthly basis. And I think that the reason that that's happening is because of this, because people are taking in an increasing number of influences and, exploring.
And it can't, but it kind of, it manifests in a number of ways, right? Like, it's also, though there's this wealth of information, gives me something constantly to work on that I already have it's very easy to kind of build progress off of like an archetype that you already can look at. Yep. And the fact that those are abundant now is cool, but it can also, if you're not ready to kind of implement it meaningfully, like, it can kind of confuse your dance or have it lose some artistic focus for a period of time. Yeah.
I think that Papa John's like liquid analogy, that you have like in life, you have a certain amount of liquid and you can pour it into different cups, and the more cups you pour it into, the less
I think the chat's kind of cut off. Can't quite see his question.
Okay. The less you can develop any specific thing. What I envision, my personal vision of the Singularity style, is that it doesn't mean that everyone is going to be a mix of styles. It means that all arrangements are valid.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me. And speaking to Kevin's point about how do we even begin to talk about biting in this kind of world?
So Kevin asked, what can and can't be bitten?
I don't have the answers, right? I don't have the answers.
Jordan, you ain't got the answers.
Bro, I don't have the answers to anything these days. I'm in one of these moments, dance-wise, just kind of in a haze. But yeah, what can and can't be bitten? I don't know. I just don't live in absolutes so much. So I think everything will be used, bitten, appropriated, taken, inspired from, and all the above.
I actually think, if I had to predict this, again, making a technical analogy, increasingly, look what Facebook did to Snapchat. They just took it. They just took the whole concept and were like, this is mine now. And I think in the loss of the cultural specificity you're talking about, this idea of biting is such a specific thing to this culture. Even this, the whole vibe
basically,
of it.
Kevin just responded, right? It's like it's
I
it's
love
not
it.
even like an adequate
Kevin and
concept
I have some
to
kind of like mind
yeah.
meld. Like I say something and then he like has
Yeah, the
typed it.
concept itself does cease. It kind of ceases to be adequate to cover the entire context of the situation now of like how things are being created. Yeah, it's becoming increasingly cloudy to call something a bite.
Right. And I don't think that when I look at people like Gold and Clarence, it doesn't really even seem like that aspect of the dance has filtered into them. I almost feel like we're a bridge generation where we took on the brunt of that, and it's almost, like with your parents, like they see the hypodermic needle and they move.
hmm
I feel like our generation is kind of like that. We took we saw it and we're like, okay, we don't want to pass this on to you guys because this didn't actually do that much for us.
Yeah.
We didn't see the benefit of all of this closed-mindedness. And Chad and I talked about this a lot, actually, just that and we had a long conversation with Bop and Andre after the event, and just the realization that the kind of OG mentality of holding things back so that you could potentially use it in a battle at some point in the future is it's so against everything about how you build
Yeah.
something
It kind
in
of
a social
prohibits growth of the
media
style.
world. And it also prohibits you being recognized for something, because all someone has to do in this world, and we've talked about this a lot on this channel with people like Tetris, who at the time had a mentality of like, don't show your best stuff. Well, eventually people saw it, they took it, they got known for it, and then to the world, Tetris is some guy doing their thing. And that the whole concept of biting doesn't really,
Yeah. And I think
it falls
again,
apart.
you can kind of bring it back to like, what is your prime directive? Because that is still possibly a valid approach, right? Like, what if Slim tonight at practice like comes up with some earth-shattering concept that he wants to implement, but he just wants to wait for the right moment, like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
he really needs it or something
Kind of
like
like
that.
Google gives
Yeah,
away
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything
Yeah.
except how their algorithm works.
Yeah, but then on my end of things, um, my specific technical implementations are not quite as intense sometimes. Like, it's just conceptually interesting.
Yeah.
And thus kind of pretty easy to bite.
Right. Like Ted, that's why he didn't show stuff, because Tut combos are, if you
Yeah,
show
yeah,
them,
yeah,
they're one
yeah.
of the easiest things.
And
to,
so
Yeah.
that was something I battled with for a long time, actually, because when I first started getting serious about popping and I wanted to kind of win battles and stuff, that was like the one thing I saw as my weapon. Like, once I started working with Tabo, I was technically like pretty good, at least. But like, I wasn't so overwhelming with that, right? The thing I could overwhelm people with was just like, I could just rapid fire variations of stuff. And so that was like my weapon. But once I saw that other people could kind of just like commandeer that shit, like one try, right? Like, it was not super technically difficult. What was difficult was flowing your way into that just organically, through just kind of a creative process. But yeah, once I saw that happening, like, it was like I had like that was like an existential crisis for me, kind of, as a dancer. I was like, whoa, am I even thinking about this the right way? Is creativity really the way for me to go? And once I sort of kind of like first principled it a little bit more, and realized that creating and inspiring in general were ultimately a little more important to me than getting the W's, that stress fell away.
Yeah, and I also find for myself, just in my life in general, that as you give things away, they become your, like Poppin' Pete, I actually think has the best response to this I've ever heard, when he said that because the Japanese dancers for so long were known for copying him pretty specifically. What they can only copy what you're doing today. They can't copy what you do tomorrow. And I feel like what's good about that is when you put yourself on, we'll call it maybe a treadmill, I don't have a better word than that, you, over the long term, you keep pushing yourself forward. Another random analogy for this is Gary Vaynerchuk, my favorite like business guy these days. People ask him, why do you give away like all of your strategies? And he said, because 99% of people aren't going to do anything with it anyway, you know, and I get all this goodwill. People are like, wow, you're so generous, and like nobody does anything anyway.
Yeah.
So like to make this more like the sort of concept of singularity style more specific, with you, you know, you're one of those people like, I don't know, Pop and John and Chad and more that sometimes get flack, you know, for your dancing specifically in the popping scene and stuff. And you know, the things you pull from, like Light Feet specifically, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, what's the question?
The question is like how is this concept, I feel like it's specifically relevant to you.
Okay.
It's not just a general
Yeah.
world theory.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been weighing on me. At first decreasingly so, because I started to kind of circumvent my ego when it came to these decisions, but then now increasingly so, it weighs me down because I'm starting to have sort of a specific direction that I want to take my craft and my art, and on both a technical and kind of cultural and metaphysical level. And I've been trying to kind of put it into the box of popping for so long now, with some success, you know. But if I really stop, and that, I think this was just something I was choosing not to be mindful about. I was just kind of on autopilot, like I'm a popper, like, so, and thus I continue popping. But if I really think about it, man, I hope I don't make a lot of enemies tonight. Anyway, there's not a ton of like kind of personal or artistic reasons that I need to develop it within that box. Like, in fact, I'm almost at the point where I feel like it's hurting my dance almost as much as it's helping my dance to be a popper. And that's sad to say, because like popping was my first love, and I still love it in a lot of ways. I would love if I could just continue being a popper. Like that'd be nice and easy and neat. But yeah, I don't know. So like, I don't know that for sure. Like I want to depart from the popping scene. Like there's always dancers within all these scenes that I'm going to love getting down with.
Right.
And so on that level, like I'll always be here. But like on a popping battle level and just like how I consider myself as an artist, I'm not so sure right now. Yeah. But because a lot of the stuff I'm working on right now, especially on like a footwork front, it a lot of it spawns out of things that are derived from popping, you know, like a lot of like floats, a lot of dime stopping, fixed points, but not all of it has a pop on it, and not all of it seeks to have a pop on it. And that's where I think I get in the most trouble, is like a lot of my movement lately doesn't seek to attach a pop or even a dime stop sometimes to it. But for me, I'm still viewing it through that lens for the most part, because like I personally know where I derived everything from, and much of it is rooted still in popping. Yeah.
I actually don't. Nothing is coming to my mind.
Well, I like maybe I'm putting you in a no answers phase too. I don't know.
Right. Right.
But this is right, and this is not even to shun,
of course,
like, the institution of popping or anything like that.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. And I guess, like, what has your experience been with things like all styles contests?
Yeah.
For instance, you know, and what are your feelings about that? And, you know, like maybe isn't that an easy?
Yeah.
Isn't there a lane there? You just switch to that.
I mean, that's something I'm considering. Right. It certainly would be a good stopgap measure. I don't know that my terminal destination would seek to be just a just like an all styles.
So
or
if
whatever,
it wasn't that, what's another
I don't know.
potential?
You know, so the reason that I always provide that counterpoint when we talk about like things approaching a singularity
Yeah.
and everything borrowing from everything, et cetera, is that one element of like loss of kind of cultural specificity and cultural context.
Yeah.
It sucks. It
Well,
does suck at the same time.
Wait, I want to push back on that actually. I just thought of it. I feel like when I see these kids, these lot kids, right? They have a culture, much like the mumble rappers will, as they're called. They have a culture, and it's a different culture, but it's always a different culture. In much the same way, I was talking to, I think, Moncel about this. When hip-hop came out, Don Cornelius from Soul Train was like, I don't want to put this garbage on my show, right? So potentially it's not, I mean, this is actually a new thought for me, but that it's not that it's losing a cultural specificity, it's that it's losing that cultural specificity.
Maybe, right? Like I said, this
because
is not...
maybe because wouldn't you say, let's just go there, man.
Okay.
Like, culture is an emergent property of humans.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Humans can do nothing but create culture, even if they actively, it's like artists that attempt to go against a movement, create a movement. Their anti-movement becomes a movement.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a fair point. And like I said, I'm kind of riffing, right?
I know exactly.
I'm confused as shit right now.
Yeah, I love it. It's wonderful.
But no, that's definitely fair. I guess I think, yeah, maybe I'm just being a little short-sighted then, right? Because that it'll take time to develop a new cultural context around whatever the fuck I'm trying to do.
Even seeing, like, when I think of the people around you, like Julian and Bim and so on, like, there's I don't have like specific words to define it, but there is something there's it's not arbitrary.
Yeah.
And I would have to think that in the creation of all of these dance styles in the first place, it started in much the same way. Things weren't being named; they were undefined, and then gradually, something happened where some outside force usually put a name on it, gave it, called it a style.
Yeah, I think what I was probably more commenting on was if I just wanted to shift over to the open styles or freestyle or all styles, whatever scene. And that's the space that I feel sometimes you lose the specificity because it can be a bit unfocused right now, right? And
I even think of,
and it's the only medium, people like Clarence and Deshaun have free reign to do what they do.
Okay, how about this? As a thought experiment, can you envision something other than that has more specificity and yet more?
Yes.
Okay.
I can. I don't know what its name would be.
Yeah, sure. Would describe it.
It's just like Well, so okay. This is the direction I personally see LA going recently, for better or worse, potentially worse, definitely worse in some people's eyes, right? But there's a growing interest, in events that are more anchored around like beats, hip hop, experimental, that kind of stuff, trap, and like soul, R&B, like not quite as much funk, not hearing quite as much house sometimes, breaks, all that. The styles oftentimes have some popping technique, use a lot of hip hop, mix in a lot of these just like next gen styles, like flexing, juking, light feet, crump. And it's just like the way you choose to blend it. Yeah, like you said, it's all versions are valid, but there is a mutual understanding between everyone, like kind of what's going on. And I think the thing that connects all that is more of a vibe thing than anything. Yeah.
And so wait, what differentiates that from what contrast that to what you see in an all styles
Well,
context.
that's just where I see LA
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
heading lately.
Yeah, sure.
But
just so people like, why is that not just all styles? Like,
well, because it's not including all kinds of music, right? Like the music is getting vaguely specific.
okay,
Right? It's kind of rooting itself more around hip hop and beats and trap.
yeah,
I personally don't mind that too much, just because that's what I listen to day to day anyway.
yeah, sure.
But that is a very clear departure, in my opinion, from what all styles or open styles or freestyle battles were even just like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super fair. And in my like academic study of the Africanist aesthetic in dances always come out of musical changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, it wouldn't surprise me if, I actually
Well, I
think
mean,
this,
did the cakewalk come out of musical change?
I believe so.
Really?
I believe so.
Okay.
Like
I thought they
kind
were
of
like making fun of their slave owners.
big band or something.
That predates swing.
No, but I mean like
I thought that was like a mimicry type thing. Like,
well, but I think that the intention, just like let's say something like the Old Man is also a mimicry thing, but the way that it's done
okay,
was because of the funk music and the clap and all of this. So just maybe like to wrap up this portion, as I do want to think of this as kind of like a Singularity style manifesto.
But manifesto is a very strong word, right? Because there's clear intention behind that.
Manifesto.
Yeah, like this is like
Yeah,
I am absolutely postmodern about this right now.
I love it.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know. I just see it happening.
Exactly, and I mean, I think
Neopop.
that's the whole. That's where I'm at with everything. You cannot push culture. You can all you can do as one gets older and you're now observing a cultural shift, rather than when you're in that age and you're, let's say, early 20s, late teens, you're just in the cultural shift and you don't even think of it as a cultural shift. That's just your culture. But as you get older and observe a cultural shift, it seems like all you can do is get involved in it. Maybe someone like Tabot, like you kind of guide it, or you rail against it, And in my experience, the railing against it is the most, like when I've watched some of the dancers older than me rail against things, it's like one thing I know is I don't want to become that. That's a very clear thing. So, in going I love it. Wow, I so didn't
JJ is putting some comments in here.
Okay.
He said he kind of misses the old way a bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
but
good.
Again, he seems to be in a similar position. He's like he likes kind of what he's seeing, but at the same time he's got that counterpoint to it.
Oh, JJ, I love that you're here and giving this perspective, because I feel like other than you, JJ is someone who
he's been dancing to all like music.
Well, but
and
what
stuff,
I'm
like,
saying is he's been one of the people who has been hated on a lot, for like dancing to different music. Really having a very deep focus on, we'll just say, waving, or even almost incorporating choreo styles into what he's doing. So I think his perspective is super relevant. So this is Jay Smooth saying, as much as I love the freedom of the dance that I'm seeing in LA, I miss the raw essence of popping and defined styles. Foundation is being lost, but freedom is found. Yeah, I super agree with that. And exactly. The only thing I can think is I'll speak for myself. The way that I am responding to these shifts is I'm finding myself going deeper into boogaloo and popping and claps and music, because it makes me feel like, Oh, I the here's like okay. Let me sort this out a little bit. What I could do is start chasing styles, right? Like I was at a party this weekend with the Lot kids, and I was like, oh my god, their style is so modern and current, and I'm old, and I want to not I want to be current too. But chasing styles is it to me as short-sighted as railing against the changes.
Hmm.
And so I feel like, to Jay Smooth's point, I'll speak for myself, what I see as singularity style is people having the opportunity to define, like, for themselves where they want to fit in. And that is how nothing ultimately ever gets lost, because there are people like me, right? You're talking about historian. I'm obviously so interested in the history and historian kind of stuff. And as long as I don't try to impose that on other people, that leaves room for me
Yeah.
to be a
Yeah.
really important part of the culture, where
Maybe.
people I can be a resource for people who want to just pull parts of that.
I wonder if maybe we
Respect,
don't need
JJ.
to quite be so dichotomous about it, right? Like it's definitely this coalescence of everything is definitely coming, but like what if we just kind of end up with something like MMA or something,
Absolutely.
where there are still defined schools, but the kind of emergent, I don't know, thing is like mixing it whatever way you feel is the most effective way, and we would have to kind of better understand what effectiveness means in this sense. But yeah, I don't know.
And so the thing,
Because I guess there's a little more objectivity to fighting, right?
yeah,
Like,
well,
either you
I
knock
think
someone
it's
out
a
or you
super
don't.
good
Like,
analogy. I think it's a super good analogy. The reason that this is really important to me is I have always been against the way that I experience people like Jay Smooth and you having to feel almost like there's something wrong with what you're doing, that you have to sort of create a barrier for yourself just to be you. And that, to me, as long as you get to be you and everyone gets to be themselves, then within that framework, all we can do is just give each other our opinion. Hey, I think that you should be popping more, and you can go, great. Thanks for telling me that, and you can do with that whatever you want. But some idea that there's a correct approach.
mm-hmm.
Well, this is postmodernism, right? Is the attack on correct
I don't
approaches.
know, right? Yeah. popping counterpoint in the house.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I really don't. How about the facilities at Homeland?
Is foundation lost or simply not applied? Well, the other thing is like, what is, so somebody asked, Florian asked, is foundation lost or simply not applied? And like,
yeah, I think that's a good point. Right? It's not lost, right? Like it's all documented.
But
and
the other
there.
thing is what is found, like, when I look at gold, I see a lot of foundation. It's not my foundation, but why do I get to say that my foundation is more valid than his foundation? And that, to me, is the thing that, again, I would actively push back against, is the idea that some person gets to dictate what the foundation is, which is why, to jump way into left field, I have always been so attracted to like Bitcoin and the blockchain, because at least in theory, it's this idea that we can create these systems that no specific person or group of people get to control. And in that way, there becomes a certain objectivity.
Mm-hmm.
And like MMA, as long as you're within these rules, good luck.
You just got to get to the end point. But I think what you're kind of talking about is actually something that's super interesting to me lately, when you think about foundation, because foundation in our game is like pop, time stop, whatever type of movements, twisto flex, et cetera. But I think if we really want to first principles it, there's like a number of foundations that sit below that around just like yourself as a human being, right? Like if my technique sits upon a weak personal foundation, like it's never gonna exemplify itself. And so I wonder if there's a way, I don't know if there is, but I wonder if there's a way to kind of codify certain metaphysical aspects into as being the driving, like honestly Crump kind of does it in a way, right? Like that feeling is foundational to them, right?
Buck, yeah.
Yeah, and like they fucking tut and all this other stuff. Like it doesn't, they carry, but they, as long as they carry that essence with them, and they all understand it between one another. I don't know, maybe we can latch on to something more like that. I don't know.
That's very interesting to consider.
Wait, there's a lot of like questions coming in and such.
Yeah.
So up above, my homie Jules.
Yeah, sure.
He mentioned something about Homeland.
Uh-huh.
So how about the facilities like Homeland? Is there not a way to bring back the culture using a place like that, which has helped breed the generations
I feel
in
like
LA?
that's happening at Slim's.
Yeah, and Homeland is still there, but I mean, for me, just like some of the management decisions have been kind of tough. Like, you know, like some people that I really love dancing with kind of like felt really not welcome there, and for various reasons.
Yeah, sure.
Shout out to Aaron. So Homeland, they're trying though. You know, Tin Man honestly has taken it upon himself to start spinning there again and like really try to bring people back. I'll probably head back there at some point because it is a dope space. And you got the big old mural of Wavo back there, which can always kind of remind us, like, honestly, like Homeland started dying when Wavo passed. Like, if we're being honest, like he did so much for this game, dude.
Yeah, he held it down.
He would fucking love having this discussion right now. Oh my god,
I always had discussions like this with him.
Yeah, and like, and so, yeah, a lot of things disappeared once he disappeared. But maybe we can all kind of do our part to bring that back.
Sure. Kevin said, which is interesting. I like this, that for popping, the feeling would be funk. And I actually would have completely agreed with that until Poppin' John totally shut me down when he brought up that, like, a song like Egypt doesn't make you feel funky at all, and to try to write that out of the history of popping is completely revisionist history. So I actually do think, though, when I look at the new, I do see a through line between people like Strobe and Blueprint and Clarence and Gold that has something to do with a feeling, a specific, kind of swag.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for them, but I
well,
just think it's more rooted in hip hop. Like, yeah,
You think it's as simple? Well, I mean, it would.
I mean, it's obviously it's not that simple. Like that's super over generalizing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that I feel like the reason I brought up the all styles, open styles.
Kevin's kind of elaborating on his stuff.
Okay. That is that the only thing, like, to go to the MMA analogy, the only thing that would make sense to me in a world of freedom would be who killed the music harder. The music seems to be a thing that one can always come back to, and it doesn't seem like there's anything else that you can always come back to.
Yeah, but I can see situations that would arise where the music was not the driving factor on why you felt someone did better than someone else.
Like, to give an example, maybe someone was more in the music, but the
other person just was like
their technique was so much higher.
Yeah, like ridiculous.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like
we're getting to like a kind of fine art place.
This is where Jordan and I go at about 3 a.m. I'm gonna just go to kind of like the ultimate question, and maybe we'll see where that goes. It's like, can you does it even make sense to judge
I think
art?
Well, for one, I don't know.
Okay,
But
fair.
if I was to attempt to even
Jordan.
meaningfully discuss
Yeah.
about this,
Yeah.
you know, I think it does make sense to judge art on a micro level. Everyone can get something different out of a piece of work.
And also, I do think that competition.
You're asking to be judged.
Well, not only that, but competition is like, actually, I'm gonna go super econ brainy on this. I just read a foundational article that was recommended by Charles Koch, the like Republican billionaire, by an economist named Hayek, who talked about competition as price discovery, meaning that the reason that capitalism works and socialism doesn't is that the whole purpose of competition is that without attempting to figure out the value of something, the value emerges naturally by people competing with each other. And it made me think of dance in that way.
Yeah.
That's
a very macro perspective,
yeah.
though, right? Because when you zoom in, the kind of the blood on the ground that can arise in that sort of climate, like that's why I'm sure I'll bet if a free marketer took control of our government, made everything free market, very little regulation, like there would be an insane number of protests.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, insane.
Like there would be madness on the ground.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And specifically with dance,
But if you zoom out, it's price discovery.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then the thing with dance that makes it like a shaky analogy at best is that the competition has no objectivity, meaning that it's not commodified. Like it's not two people selling a clock, and that if one can sell it for cheaper, they make more profits. It's not art is so inexact in that way. And, maybe it's as simple, which is like, this is the most cop-out thing that I could say, but it's like, there's always going to be this dynamic tension between traditionalists attempting to hold things back to the essence of what they
not
were.
Holding it back, though.
Holding it
that's
to.
not fair on their
thank
end.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Holding it to the essence of what it was or is thought to be, and people that feel constrained by that attempting to push it forward. And I mean, that's what you see in politics.
I guess
right?
that is kind of price discovery.
Isn't that what the Constitution is all based on? That, all of the checks and balances is a way that, like, I remember when a couple years ago there was all this during like the late stages of Obama's presidency, there was all of this fighting around government slowdown and inefficiency. And I read this really great essay that was saying this is a feature of American government, not a bug, because it means that no dictator can come in and change things too quickly because they quickly get bogged down in the various checks and balances.
Some interesting comments coming through on the YouTube side.
Okay.
Just about kind of like, I think they're talking back to like, is art worth judging, right? So Florian says art is about judging. If there was not critical thinking and judging of art, it would be meaningless. And that's a fair point. Again, on like a more macro level.
Yeah.
But again, zooming in, like the creator of art could care less about the judgment in some ways, but it had some sort of cathartic element for them. So I think we don't need to look at art like, is it worth judging? I think it's absolutely worth judging on a case-by-case basis. Everything is fucking context, man. Context is everything.
And on that...
And the context is completely different person to person and piece of art to piece of art.
Totally. And on that level, like that was the one of the biggest inspirations for me doing this in the first place, was the realization that like the perspective was the collective combination of all of the perspectives, and that in this day and age of information access and transparency, maybe what is needed is just getting all of the perspectives out there without fighting them, and allowing more perspectives.
But that, I mean, the fighting's gonna happen.
No, of course, but I'm saying no, me not fighting, me not
gotcha.
trying to impose my ideas, but instead focus more on hearing and pulling out of people their ideas. And that hopefully, I mean, my thought is that with more information, the more reasonable, especially in the, not necessarily in the short term, but in the longer term, the more reasonable ideas and perspectives will become almost self-evident.
Yeah, price discovery is probably not the best word for it,
Sure.
But I think it is, perhaps a good strategy for anyone kind of dealing with angst around this topic, right, myself included, to choose to take a more macro view and understand that like it will go where it goes, and it will go where it should go at the end of things. Yeah, I don't know, because if you zoom out and see the process just kind of unfolding, all the forces, the traditionalists holding back the creators, et cetera, or feeling the creators feeling held back, forking off into different things, coming back to it. Like you said, right as I told you, I was thinking like, oh, I don't know about like.
Yeah, totally.
And then
totally.
then I was put on the KOD
elaborate
squad.
on that though, that because people.
Okay, well, so right around the time that I told Otis like that I feel like I'm starting to teeter over the edge of whether I want to personally just kind of, maybe temporarily even, make a departure from the popping game, just to kind of work on my own stuff for a bit, and see what comes of it. Like 2 days after that, Dinoy hit me up to talk about USA's KOD popping team, and of course, like,
meaning putting him on the
KOD,
USA team.
And like I'm super down because in the popping scene, like in LA, like those are three of the guys that I love to get down with the most on an artistic level. Like they all just have something special.
Three guys being Slim, D-Soul, and Dinoy.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. No. That's my job.
And so Otis commented to me that like, you can run, but you can't hide.
It's funny. I feel the same way about Jay Smooth. I feel like he is the original, like, get off of me.
He ran all the way to Thailand.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just get out of here and do my own thing. And like, but what I see anyway is that at the bottom core of it, and I feel the same way. Not necessarily in a dance way, but I tried to just get out of dance altogether. And ultimately what was revealed to me is like my own passion for it, and I think that is a worthwhile process for anyone, because it's to be super cliche, it's like if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back to you,
it was supposed to.
It's so funny. I was like, I was so thinking this was going to be like a clean,
why would you think it would be
I have
clean?
no idea because I'm an idiot.
You already know where I'm at. Like,
I know.
Like you should have hit me up like maybe 3 weeks from now once I've like sorted some things out. I don't even know like.
But I like it. I like it because I think all of us, like Jay Smooth, like Chad, like Clarence, like all of us have these times when nothing is clear, and I think that. Oftentimes I experience in retrospect, like, I wish I had expressed all of that confusion while I had it, because now it's gone.
Yeah.
Now I'm clear, and I don't even
maybe
remember
this is just me being egotistical right now, and kind of not wanting everyone to see like how
Yes.
confused I am about everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, well, for sure. And I mean, I think that's the main reason people don't do that. And again, you know, one of my personal agendas, like if I have my own agenda in this, it's that I want a more like emo community of dancers. I want to have our ciphers be more vulnerable and more truthful and more exploratory and more emotional. And you know, I feel like there's a bunch of us who
Damn, Mike just dropped a
yeah,
bomb.
Shockwave just hit us with something. I think that if we can, my honest, just to be totally transparent, my honest feeling is if I can help create a critical mass of people that are open to that, the entire culture as we know it can kind of turn inside out, and that this thing that has been known to be so political and so judgmental can be a real force for creativity, and that the people that are judging will be revealed to be as much fearful as they are critical, and that now the onus is on them to reveal themselves more beyond just being dope.
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
Yeah. This is very hard to codify though, but
Cool, Jay
maybe it need not
Smooth.
be.
It was super appreciate your perspective, bro.
Good to hear from you, bro.
Have a good class. Okay, so Shockwave says, I feel like nowadays people, like, we're talking about beat freaking, it gets way more props in general than the level of technique. I feel like it may because the world we live in doesn't allow much of an exchange of those things due to people learning on their own.
Wait, can you scroll back up?
Yeah,
to that?
yeah,
Sorry,
for
I
sure.
want to process that
Yeah,
question
yeah,
for a
yeah.
second.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it depends on who you're around, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But if we're zooming out, then possibly that is the case.
I mean, that's what we, you know, without putting anyone on blast, what I said to Jordan after his battle with Mega Man was that my personal feeling was like, you know, there was a lot of, on Mega Man's part, like that exactly, like hitting a da-da-da-da-da-da by going da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and that the audience was like, whoa. And for me on an artistic level, it was like, okay,
yeah,
all right. Like,
he's somewhat that moment I felt the same about that round, but again, it's a battle,
yeah, of
right?
course, and not to take
And
away
also,
anything
like,
from him as a
again,
dancer.
coming back to context, I'm familiar with him as a dancer in a way that I know how dope he is anyway.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
And he's on his own shit,
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
so, yeah.
But
Regarding that question, I mean, I will say, I don't know where this thought's gonna go, but I do think that, you know, there's less and less patience in culture these days, right? Like if like Nice for What came out and like everyone was talking about it for like 3 days, maybe it's still topping the charts, but it's not like specifically in the cultural zeitgeist anymore. Like 15 years ago, like that would have been the talk of the town for like 6 months. That happened with all the, like, the Black Panther album came out and like everyone was slapping it for like a week, and I just stopped hearing it. So I feel like, you know, in a lot of ways, culture in general is just moving so fast.
yeah, I mean, Skeet was telling me this back then, which was, he said, I feel sorry for you guys because I experience you guys as being a part of the impress me generation, where what you guys are looking for from each other, what the audience is looking for from you, is something that makes you explode like a beat freak, as Shockwave is saying. Whereas he, according to him, in his era, it was the express me generation. It was like people genuinely enjoyed watching someone else catch a groove. And I do think, though, this is what I honestly think. I think if you really can catch a groove, I think of people like Waleed and Soul come to mind. It's as compelling as ever.
I will say the conversation and technique both.
Uh-huh.
You lose some of that on video, especially in popping. Like like popping looks so whack on video a lot of times for me. But like but so aesthetically insane
In
when you can
person.
see all the little details of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people like Pop and C. I've never seen him in person.
Yeah.
And on video I don't really get his style so much, but I can tell he's got a clean ass pop.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if I saw him in person, I'd be like, fuck, that's sick. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I feel like this is good enough. Yeah. What?
oh, we just keep talking. Like,
All right. All right. I have a. What is your in the
a small question. What's your
okay
opinion about
Mateus
what happens
from Argentina
in the world and the style
that
that predominates in this? Let me read that again.
Yeah, I think we have context issues.
You could write it in Spanish.
Yeah,
and I have a
Shockwave,
chance
for
of reading that.
What is your opinion about what happens in the world that I mean I'm gonna take that one, and I don't know if I'm taking it correctly, but how long have I really been actively dancing now? Like 17 years. Is that I've seen so many styles and trends come and go that I realize I'm now getting to a point that really the most relevant, like, long-term method for me is to go deeper into self-examination of who I actually am as a person and what I'm going to be naturally attuned to for the rest of my life, and just to accept that there are going to be eras throughout my life where what I'm doing is hot, like it comes back and people are all like, whoa, that's amazing, and then other eras where it's cold and people are not as receptive to it. And maybe throughout those times, being super open to new influences and new perspectives, but to be grounded in something that isn't changing, which is like who I mean, obviously I'm changing as a person, but I do feel like the core of me is the same as it was 17 years ago. And for me, to be really specific, I have just always gravitated toward funk. It so happened that funk was hot when I gravitated toward it, so it was confusing, and it took me a long time to realize, like, oh, I actually gravitate toward this, whether it's popular or not. But that there's a certain relaxation that I feel now that I never felt when I was trying. Oh, I got to keep up with this. Oh, tutting is the thing now, And of course, I love tutting and can incorporate tutting, but it's like it's an offshoot of the core thing. Whereas for somebody else, maybe funk is an offshoot of their core thing.
Could you scroll back up to
Yeah,
this question?
for sure.
By the way, what up, Coco?
What's up, Coco?
Because he's talking about what happened in Argentina. So can
yeah,
you scroll back up a little bit?
Oh,
yeah.
No, he didn't.
A small
say
question.
more.
What's your opinion?
He didn't
No,
say more.
yeah.
Oh.
I just want to see the question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think he might be talking about like just like in general, like what's our opinion about, I don't know, like the geopolitics, I guess, of like what styles are okay where and whatnot. Because I'm imagining, I haven't watched the whole battle yet.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just watched Jose and Augustus rounds in that battle. But I'm imagining there's some sort of like, Boogaloo versus like August does a lot of strutting and stuff, and Jose is like a pretty abstract.
I feel like it's Boogaloo versus like Jordan style.
I don't strut really,
That's
like
fair.
despite me being from the Bay.
That's fair.
But so
Shakes.
as far as that, I mean, I think what you said still kind of holds a bit. In that, like, one of the things I got out of what you were saying is, or that I felt out of what you were saying is like, it's kind of cyclic in a way. Like there's like a expansion and a contraction, and everything is, a lot of things are cyclic. And so maybe just like where we're at this moment is a particular part of the cycle where one side of that argument is going to win out more often than not.
And I think that, much like to go back to another shared passion of ours, like investing, like investing versus speculating, right? Speculating is really focused on catching trends where they are, this is my interpretation anyway. Whereas investing is like, I fundamentally believe in this thing, and I'm going to build on this potentially for the rest of my life, or at least in a time period that can be measured in years or decades rather than weeks or months. And I think as you watch these cycles happen in your own life, you realize that there's no way that you can always be at the peak of a cycle. That the things that you're into sometime, this is the part that I missed that's really important. That if you keep investing in the things that are true to you when they're cold, when they become hot again, you have a super leg up because you've been putting in that work the whole time. And now all the people that are chasing a trend, they can't really keep up with you. But it requires a certain amount of almost like dispassion to accept that there are going to be times where what you're into is not received super well.
And in a world where a fair number of people think they're doing the right thing, kind of objectively so, that can cause a lot of friction. He did kind of contextualize his question a little bit here, though.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know that I have an answer or anything, but kind of the point that he's making is like, it's interesting that, in his opinion, Brazil kind of danced with like a European or Asian sort of style.
When I saw that, when I watched the part of the KOD Latin America finals, which is what we're referencing, Argentina versus Brazil, the first thought that came to my mind was, we're watching Frank Ajara versus Jordan. That's what I saw. So
Frank Ajara is dope, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Brazil comes out of Frank Ajara as far as what I personally saw, and he's full on EB camp. I was taking classes with him with Sugar Pop in like 2004, right? And he teaches Bidu, and then Bidu passes it on to the younger generation.
But it's interesting because I feel like Bidu, maybe not right now, but I feel like he went through a period where he was like way off in his own shit. Like,
no, I think he still is.
Yeah.
But I think that when you pass on your basics, I think there's a real tendency to pass on the basics that were taught to you as the basics, because I think most of us, almost all of us, have a certain amount of humility in like, hey, I may have taken these basics and gone way over here, but I don't feel confident to tell you that what you should do is start over here. So I'm going to teach you the basics that I was taught, and you figure out what to do with them. I mean, that's what I see you do with your students, I don't see you being like, I'm Jordan, and, this.
Yeah, but part of that is just because I'm just that dude that doesn't have the answers.
I know, but I think I think there's very few of us that feel like we have the answers, especially because we are doing a dance that we inherited, that not one that we created, which is one of the things that I do see with these younger kids, is they feel closer to a creation level experience of what they're doing with things like juking and light feet and crumping and Chicago footwork. It feels like the people they're looking up to are not in their 60s, 50s,
right.
they're in their 30s or 20s even. And so it feels to me like they take more ownership.
Put the feet down. I don't know if there's any new comments.
Yeah, sure.
Just that it keeps
Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chad said, which is exactly true, to go way back to what I was saying, 5-10 minutes ago, that when you bet on yourself, you can do something like Chad did, like make a career out of the robot. When he started doing the robot, it was not hot. And then the music changed, and all of a sudden the movement made a lot more sense, and there you go.
And that's actually, and this is not, I don't even know that it's a criticism of your commentaries, but
oh boy,
it's like you know me, man. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna hate too hard.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, when we were getting really technical about what someone's doing and like what's good and what's bad, like we can be pointing out completely valid things, but those things can be things that are kind of irrelevant to that person, and like, and it like it would behoove us not to hear all that feedback and then be like, okay, I gotta do everything, because if you're trying to be everything at once, like you're almost nothing. Like,
Well, I would say, in response to that I would not be, if somebody said, you know what, dude, I don't think that any of the dancers that you do commentaries on should watch your commentaries of them, I would be like, I think that's probably a pretty reasonable idea.
I don't go that far.
Well, I'm just saying, because the thing that I think is beneficial about the commentaries, and this is not at all, at least intentionally, to defend the commentaries, is that the people that it's relevant for is everybody, to just have something to bounce off of. Do I agree with that? Do I disagree with that? What do I think? But in terms, as someone who I feel like is literally the poster child of like, I want to dance like Todd, I want to dance like Chad, I want to dance like Tetris, I want to dance like Kid Boogie, I want to dance like Slim, I want to dance like Popular, I want to dance like J-Rock, and ending up in this kind of like that I completely agree. I have gotten, people don't necessarily know this, but I have gotten super not particularly interested in what people think of my dancing as of late, because I'm like, oh, I actually can't take this. If I start, the whole thing I'm going on right now is self-belief.
Right.
And if I allow you in with your, this could be, it's like, great, I don't want to hear it right now. You know, I spend my whole life hearing it, and I'm going to run with this for a while. And then maybe I'll get to a new plateau, as you say. And then I'm like, dude, I need some, can you tell me some stuff? I need some feedback or something. But so I certainly agree with that feedback is not always your friend at all, especially in an improvised art form where you're attempting to kind of like clear your mind and interpret music. Like having someone in your head is a dangerous
No, you make a
game.
good point. So actually, I think you're right that the onus is kind of on the dancer's end to not take it too personally, like,
or to act like, I genuinely think I did a podcast with this guy Kenyatta, who is a barber for all these like famous rappers like Method Man and Redman, and I was asking him off air, like, hey man, what do you think about comments? Like, do you read your comments on YouTube and stuff? He's like, yeah man, you got to read the comments. I was telling Meth and Red, like, yo, you got to start reading the comments. They're like, we don't read the comments. And I was like, oh, this is so funny, because these like the smaller guy is reading the comments and the bigger guy is not reading the comments, because I think that in terms of actual artistic expression and charisma, like your lack of self-awareness, or like where you stand,
like full confidence.
Yeah, just confidence. Just blast them with confidence, and hopefully you have enough skill that it doesn't come off comical, and instead it's like, whoa. And I feel like we've seen, without naming names necessarily, oh shit, Armani, what's up?
Oh damn, haven't seen it in a minute.
Yeah, me neither. Without naming names, like, I know a lot of dancers that have, in my opinion, more confidence than they have skill, and they do very well for themselves, you know? It's like, that's been very eye-opening for me, as somebody who gets so into, I think you may be like this as well, like into the minutia of like perfecting technique.
Well, that's I mean, I'm becoming decreasingly so. I'd say for a period I was definitely very much on that boat, especially working with Tabo, who's like keen on all. Yeah, he grills me on the smallest shit.
Yeah.
And I welcome it, but like the more I'm kind of focusing on these, like, on essence and removing technicality from my life in general, the less I find myself doing that, and more I'm just worried about like intent and context. Yeah. So I think the whole discussion we had around me being worried about losing kind of cultural specificity is just that right now in my life, context is almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily always cultural context, but just like knowing it, being able to accurately read intent in people's actions, like completely changes how I process it, how I process the resulting effect.
Can you give example?
like a really simple and shitty example was like, if I'm arguing with a friend and he like accidentally drops my cup on the ground and shatters it, versus he's mad at me, so he's like, oops. Like the end result is a shattered glass, but my reaction is going to be very different.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
And it's hard to accurately judge those things. So.
And so connecting that to dance, your dance or dance in general?
Oh, it's like, like I'm trying to be better at kind of understanding their context, like where they're coming from, what kind of emotional moment they're having, a host of other metaphysical factors.
And what has prompted that?
Just that I find it more useful for myself to progress as a human being, to rely less on technicality, and more on essence.
And what precipitated that? Like where? What?
I think I just started to notice, like sometime in my early 20s, I was like, like I would just always make sure that I had an out when I would argue or discuss with people. And I realized at a certain point that it was kind of halting progress in the discussion, because anytime I got backed into a corner, I could fall back on like, oh, but this point.
Sure.
But the reality of it was that was going against the spirit of what I was actually thinking or feeling. And I was just like, I think there's a lot of situations in life where you can forever sit upon technicalities, right? And especially when it comes to art, we can use this whole side of things about that art is subjective and we don't know, no one can truly define it. You can use that as a crutch forever, and the discussion can go nowhere potentially.
Right.
And so it's just about why we use that point, or
right.
why.
For me, that's why philosophy for me is like practical. It's like and so I would say that my experience of what you're talking about is that I feel like just for so many years, let's just go back to these people I've been using. Like I'm in a cipher with Tetris, and he goes in and he's tutting, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta tut like him, and rather everything being externalized, which I feel like in its own way is an out, rather than me looking within and defining like this is what I really like.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a sort of like safety that I experienced in not doing that, because then no one can really say anything because I haven't actually made a choice. But
and even if you did make the choice to do what everyone else is cool, you could just rely on everyone else's feedback of like, oh, that's amazing. Like, okay, right. That's amazing. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah. And
Tin Man, I ain't no magnetic puppet.
And that there's I've experienced, fear or like a risk in deciding, okay, this is what I like to do. And that now I'm in a position to be judged, like they can say, I don't think you're good at the thing you're doing, or I don't even like the thing that you're doing. And that's been a real growth experience for me.
And it's also another step to also not kind of lock yourself into that. Like once you do make that decision, like understanding that you can still change your mind later.
Right.
But to many that you'll forever be etched in as that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the internet has made it hard to kind of like argue or discuss or anything, because everyone can always poison the well by coming back and be like, well, when you were 14 you said this, like how could you change so differently?
Sure. Or just find an infinite number of counterexamples
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like anything that you say or stand for. Well,
Dang.
I guess to me then, super unexpectedly, the way that this conversation has led me to think of this whole concept of singularity style is that it's kind of the end result of people going through a process of discovering what they actually like and are drawn to, and then having the conviction to actually stick to it. Oh, dude, Fred Illy with the comment. This is like a serious Bitcoiner. Fred, thank you. Yeah, and that is, and when I think of the gatekeepers of the styles of popping, of b-boying, of locking, like that, they knowing, like, the thing that makes it special is knowing that you're being judged and being willing to be yourself anyway. And I think that actually is one of the greatest values of this culture and of competition, is that it's like a pressure cooker. It's one thing to be like another community that I've been involved in, like the New Age spiritual community or the Burning Man, where it's all just like, I just really support your expression and creativity. But the thing that pushed me away from that community was the lack of skill that I felt existed in it compared to the street dance community. And so because there are people actively like denigrating your creativity in this community, it forces a sort of floor.
Like hardens you.
Yeah, it hardens you, you know, and also causes you to have to work to be because I think fundamentally it's like a human desire to be accepted, right? And so what that means in this would be to be good, right? To be considered being good. And that causes it makes me think of Keon again, of like, you know, maybe he didn't start by wanting to learn how to hit hard like the boppers or something, but because he got tired of not being accepted, you know, it's like, fine, I'll learn it. Now you can't, you know, hate on me in the way that you did before.
They'll still find a way to.
Well,
I'm
I
sure.
know, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, you just but that is the thing
Yeah.
that causes the upward momentum of the like skill level, the overall skill level.
And for himself too, he may end up at the same ass conclusion as he did originally of, I just want to do my own thing. I mean, he's kind of coming back to that right now as we speak, but just with better personal context.
Totally. And I see it, I don't know if I'm right, but I see it in Waleed in a sort of like, I'm Waleed, dude. You know, that
Waleed is definitely very Waleed.
Yeah, that I didn't feel for about like 5 years.
And also, Tin Man, to your comment, I love the music you play, bro.
Okay. I feel that there is a certain, I love Tin Man's music as well, and I feel like there is a certain poppin' beats.
Like subgenre,
like element of the music that a broader variety to me would be nice. Switching things up of tempos and of
I mean, if I'm being honest, like on an average day, I like dancing to hip hop and R&B the most.
And I like dancing,
but among like popping stuff,
trip hop kind of
stuff, the stuff that Tin Man plays is like some of my favorite, because it still carries some of that with it. It's like not overwhelmingly fast tempo. For the most part. There's some exceptions. So it's like it feels a little heavy, and especially given kind of like my training with Aki and stuff, like that feeling resonates with me more. So I'm a fan of Tin Man's work.
Okay, so Kevin says, why don't battles have songs with lyrics? I see that sometimes they do, and
but a lot of times they don't.
Yeah. And
I don't know when that I wasn't really part of the game when that started happening, but even as I got back into popping, like it was already a lot of the battles were just very loopsy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm personally a fan of just like songs. Like,
Yeah. Oh, baseline. Long time no see. I feel like we should. I feel like we should start doing commentaries.
maybe, yeah, I'll probably get out of here at like 7 a.m.
Yeah. Right.
otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I feel like we could just do this for forever.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going. Oh no. Okay. We'll get to that, Kevin.
Any
Kevin is-
favorite? Any recent favorite?
Okay. I'm
non-
cutting.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
cutting it. I'm cutting it right now.
Wait,
Not the stream.
we're stopping the
but this-
stream?
No, just
Oh.
this video. Okay. We're gonna start commentaries. Thank you. Peace.